Sagittarius, there is a truth your soul has never dared to face. Every wound you swallowed in silence, every night you cried alone, God saw all of it. Not a single tear you shed was forgotten. Not a single moment of pain went unseen by Him. But why, after all these years of patience, endurance, and sacrifice, is it only now, this exact moment, that He begins giving everything back to you? There is a reason you've never been told, a law that only the strongest souls ever experience, and in the next 30 minutes, I'll tell you the whole truth, why God delayed, why your suffering lasted so long, and why this moment isn't random, but the divinely chosen time of restoration written into the destiny of a Sagittarius. If your heart feels connected to this, write, I am ready to receive divine restoration, not for interaction, but so the universe itself can witness that your soul is awakening and ready to step through its sacred doorway. Sagittarius, you were never an ordinary soul. You are the one who carries light into darkness. You walk with faith, not fear. You are the traveler who grows through every trial God places on your path. In Western astrology, Sagittarius is the sign of philosophy, truth, intuition, and belief. You were born under the protection of Jupiter, the planet of expansion, grace, generosity, and miracles that arrive at the perfect moment. Others may lose their faith, but you don't. Others may close their hearts, but you still leave one small window open for the light to enter. That's why they call you the one who carries God's flame. And that flame is never loud, never boastful, never showing the world the pain behind your smile. Sagittarius is the kind of soul who hurts the deepest, yet smiles the brightest, falls the hardest, yet rises the quickest, gets betrayed the most, yet still believes in good, doesn't seek revenge, doesn't hold grudges, just quietly walks away, letting God handle the rest. This is your sacred nature, and it is why your challenges have always been harder, longer, and heavier than those of other signs, because the strongest souls are given the toughest missions. Your purpose isn't just to live, but to illuminate. Not just to survive trials, but to turn them into hope for others. Not just to heal yourself, but to become living proof of the universe's goodness. You think no one sees your pain? You think no one understands your silence? You think everything you went through was meaningless? Sagittarius, you've carried wounds no one else could see, but He saw them all. God saw the way you stayed kind even when you were hurting. He saw how you kept believing even when your mind wanted to give up. He saw how you stood back up even when no one was there to lift you. And because you never lost your light, He decided it's time to give everything back to you. Sagittarius, to understand why this moment matters so much, you have to look deep into the heart of your chart, into the movement of Jupiter, your ruling planet, the source of your miracles, and the place where God hides His plans for you. For months, Jupiter has been shifting, opening a rare window of healing, expansion, and justice. This isn't coincidence. It's the first sign that your long cycle of pain is coming to an end. A quiet ending, but powerful, like the sound of fate closing one door so it can open another. Have you felt it? Your inner world shifting in ways you can't explain. Some mornings you wake up and your heart feels calmer. Some memories that once broke you no longer hold power over you. And sometimes, in the middle of an ordinary day, you feel something returning to you, even if you can't see it yet. That's the light of the ninth house, the house of God, activating inside your chart. When that house brightens, your soul begins to speak louder. You start remembering why you had to walk through the dark. You start realizing that none of your pain was wasted. And most of all, you start remembering who you truly are. But here is the part no one tells you. Why does your pain last longer than everyone else's? Why do your storms feel deeper, quieter, heavier? Most people will never understand this, but God does. Sagittarius is the sign of light, faith, and sacred leadership. Light cannot shine unless it has been pressed through darkness. Faith cannot grow unless it has been tested. A guide cannot guide unless they once had to walk lost. So your pain was never punishment, it was preparation. Sometimes the universe doesn't take things from you. It takes things away because they no longer belong to your future. Sometimes silence isn't abandonment. It's God working behind the scenes. And sometimes, delay isn't failure. It's protection from a future you can't yet see. I want to share something personal with you. A truth I've learned after years of reading charts and years of watching people grow through their pain. When God allows a Sagittarius to fall, it's never to break them, it's to rebuild them with a stronger light. The souls with the highest missions never walk the easiest paths, and the hearts that hold the most love often carry the deepest cracks. But it is through those cracks that the light finally shines through. You once loved with everything you had, and what you received in return was pain. You once helped someone from pure sincerity and got misunderstood instead. You once believed in something beautiful, and life answered you with a harsh lesson, and yet you stayed good, you stayed kind, you refused to seek revenge, you refused to become bitter. You stood up in places where others would have quit, and that your unconditional goodness was the greatest prayer you ever sent to the heavens, even if you never spoke a word. What you gave away, what you thought was wasted, is now finding its way back to you. The tears you swallowed at night, the ones no one ever noticed, were recorded in a sacred journal that belongs to you and you alone. And when the time arrives, like now, everything you planted, whether in pain or in hope, begins to bloom in its right season. If you look closely, you'll notice you're stepping into a strange new cycle. Subtle signs appear around you. Peace shows up, even when nothing has changed. Your dreams grow clearer. Repeating numbers find you at the exact moment you're thinking about your future. You meet people whose timing feels placed, as if something guided them to you. This isn't coincidence. This is the restoration window Jupiter is opening, and you're standing right at the edge of it. I want you to truly feel this. Everything that was taken from you is preparing to return in a far more beautiful form. But before that happens, the universe wants you to look back at your last 12 months, not to reopen old wounds, but to understand how strong you've become, how much you've grown, how many storms you survived that even you didn't think you could survive. And I want you to ask yourself one question, a question that opens the doorway to the next part of your message, the part you absolutely cannot miss. What is the one thing that matured me the most in the last 12 months? Let that question sit in your heart. Don't rush the answer. Because in the next part, I'll tell you exactly why God saw all of this, and why this moment right now is the moment He chose to return everything to you. Sagittarius. There are things in your life that no one else ever saw. There are wounds you hid behind your smile, and moments you folded into yourself because it felt like the whole world was turning away from you. And still, you wanted others to feel peaceful around you, even when you had no peace left for yourself. That is what makes your journey lonelier than most. You are the zodiac's truth teller. You don't pretend. You don't lie about your feelings. You love with your whole heart, and that is why you get hurt the deepest. People think Sagittarius is strong, carefree, unbothered, but they never look inside your heart, the place filled with tiny, sharp cuts that still ache in their own quiet way. You were hurt by the one you trusted most, not just once. You placed your heart in someone's hands the way a believer places trust in God, and you received disappointment heavy enough to crush your breath. You forgave far more than you should have. You tried to understand. You tried to be generous. You tried to be good to someone who did not deserve the softness you gave. And then your soul grew tired. Tired of being strong. Tired of pretending you're okay. Tired of no one seeing the tears hidden behind your smiling eyes. But there is one who saw everything. God saw the nights you couldn't sleep because your heart was too heavy. He saw you holding yourself together in the dark. He saw the way you kept walking even when your legs trembled, even when your spirit felt torn. He saw the tears you never let fall in front of anyone. He saw the kindness you kept offering even when you were hurt. He saw the way you chose growth instead of revenge. And every time you chose what was right instead of what was easy, a small star lit up on your path. Every time you forgave, a piece of your good karma unlocked. Every time you kept believing, a future doorway opened even if you couldn't see it yet. Have you ever felt it? That strange sensation that someone is watching over you, that an invisible hand lifts you every time you are about to collapse. That isn't imagination. That is grace. There are moments you ask, why do I have to endure so much? Why does love hurt me? Why does kindness never get returned? And the answer always arrives soft as a breeze, but true as light. Your kindness has never been meaningless. Goodness is an arrow that flies slowly, but it always hits its mark. The universe never forgets the people who live with beauty and integrity. In your quiet actions, helping without calculation, loving with sincerity, standing up for what's right when silence would have been easier, you created more blessings than you can imagine. And now, you can feel the shift. The air around you is different. It feels like the ground beneath you is changing color, like a new chapter is opening its cover. And it is. This chapter, God wrote it long ago. He was simply waiting for your heart to heal enough to read it. Sagittarius is the sign of hope. You always find light, even in places so dark others can't see anything at all. You believe in the good even when your heart has been broken. That is your gift. That is your path. A long journey, but never a wasted one. So hear me clearly. Every wound you walked through was never a period. It was a comma, a pause for breath. A step back so you could leap forward into something unexpected and far more beautiful than what you lost. When others judge you by your strength on the outside, God looks inside to the fragile but unbreakable heart you carry, the soft but enduring soul you protect, the delicate but steady faith you never let go of. You think the good things you've done were forgotten? No. They're coming back, not in the way you expected, but in the way you deserve. And to prepare for what's coming, I want you to take a few seconds to feel this question inside yourself, not to answer me, but to answer your own heart. What is the kindest thing I ever did for someone that no one ever noticed? Let that question echo a little, because in the next part, you'll understand why the things that went unrecognized are the very keys that will unlock your blessings. They didn't disappear. They're returning in the most sacred way. Sagittarius, my dear, it's time you hear a truth you may have never dared to believe. The moment God gives everything back to you is now. Not next month, not next year, not some distant day in the future, but now in the very season your soul is living, in the breath you're taking, in the heartbeat echoing in your chest at this exact moment. Here is something you need to know. Blessings don't arrive when you're loud. Miracles don't arrive when you're fighting with your mind. Restoration doesn't arrive when you're forcing yourself to be strong. They come when you release a breath, release the pain, release resistance, release what no longer belongs to you. And that's what you've been doing lately, not consciously, but perfectly, in alignment with your soul. You thought you were getting weaker, but truth is, you were opening the door for divine intervention. If you've been paying attention, you've probably noticed strange signals lately, the kind only souls entering a repair cycle can see. That's because Jupiter, your guardian, the planet of blessings and expansion, has opened a window of grace that lasts 28 to 32 days. Moments like these are rare, and not everyone gets to walk into them at the right time. But you do. You're standing right at the doorway. You're on the threshold of a brand new chapter. A chapter where you no longer have to survive by force. A chapter where the things that were taken from you, the things that made you doubt yourself, the things that broke your heart, are all beginning to return. If you've felt a strange peace inside you recently, even though nothing outside has really changed, that's the first sign. Jupiter is at work. The energy of your 10th house, the house of career, honor, and higher purpose, is glowing like a torch. Suddenly, you feel the urge to restart something. Suddenly, you're not as afraid of failure as before. Suddenly, a small path appears in your mind, even if it's just a fleeting idea. You may not see the opportunity clearly yet, but you feel it getting closer. That's not wishful thinking. That's a signal. That's the 10th house awakening under Jupiter's light. A door that once closed in front of you is about to open. And there is something else, something you may not have noticed, but God has been watching closely. Your heart is healing. The fifth house, the house of love, joy, romance, creativity, and the fire that makes your soul come alive, is warming up again after being cold for far too long. Sagittarius loves in the most beautiful way, with honesty, with unguarded tenderness, with the belief that love is a gift, not a battlefield. And when you're hurt, you hurt deeply. You didn't say it out loud, but love became something you feared. But now, things are changing. You smile again at an old song. You care again about how you look, who you like, what you want. Your heart flutters a little when someone speaks to you kindly. That's not weakness, that's healing. When the fifth house lights up, you begin to reclaim the best part of yourself, the radiant, warm, vivid part that makes you unforgettable. And as your heart heals, you no longer shrink yourself. You start stepping into the world with your own light, a light no one can take from you again. So, what does your blessing look like? Is it just an apology? A gift? A new opportunity? No. A Sagittarius blessing has never been that small. You were made for things bigger, deeper, more beautiful. First, your blessing arrives as the restoration of your honor. The things you were misunderstood for are about to become clear. The words spoken against you are about to be exposed. The people who judged you will look at you differently, not because you proved anything, but because God is doing it for you. Next comes a financial opportunity you once lost, a door you once knocked on, but it never opened, a chance you once hoped for, but someone took from you, an opportunity you missed because of circumstances. All of it is returning, but this time, it comes in a higher form. The universe never takes anything from you without returning a better version. And then there is something else, something your heart may have feared, doubted, but quietly hoped for all along. A new relationship, a healthy one, not the kind of love that drains you, not the kind of love that makes you anxious, not the kind of love you must fight to keep, not the kind of love where you lose yourself, but love that is peaceful, love that is clear, love that fits, love that doesn't require you to hurt in order to be loved. The universe is bringing someone into your life who will make you realize, love isn't a game. Love is a gift. And maybe the most important blessing of all, the hidden truths will come to light. Someone's silence, someone's disappearance, someone's sudden change in behavior, an opportunity someone secretly blocked from you, a lie that once broke your heart. All of it is about to be revealed in a way you never expected, not to hurt you again, but to free you from the questions that tortured your heart. You once asked, "What did I do wrong? Why would they treat me like that? Why do the people I trust hurt me the most?" You're about to get the answers. And when the truth comes, you'll see that you weren't wrong. You were simply too real, too kind, too pure-hearted for the people and situations that weren't meant to stay. But now, you are stepping into the season where you reclaim your light. No more chasing. No more proving. No more begging for love, respect, or fairness. God is handling all of it for you. And the most beautiful part? It echoes the spiritual heart of American faith. God works the hardest when you are the quietest. The moments you felt abandoned, He was working behind the scenes. The moments everything collapsed, He was rebuilding the foundation. The moments you felt alone, His angels were surrounding you. Not a single tear of yours was forgotten. Not a single prayer was ignored. Not a single night you cried without Him sitting quietly beside you. And now, you've walked through the darkness. You've endured enough. You've learned enough. You've grown more than you realize. The rest, He will take care of. If your heart feels warm right now, even just a little, if you feel the energy in the air shifting, if you suddenly have faith without any reason, that is the clearest sign that your season of restoration is truly arriving. And if you're ready to open this door, let your soul speak the declaration your blessings have been waiting for. I open my heart to receive my blessings. Whisper it as a key that unlocks the path ahead, because the next part will reveal how these blessings connect to your purpose and why they arrive now, not earlier, not later. My beloved Sagittarius, it's time you hear something no one in your life has ever said to you. Something you sensed in your spirit but never fully believed. You were not born to be like anyone else. They call you a fire sign, but you are not just fire. You are a torch. Some souls are born to learn from life. Some souls are born to teach others. But you were born to shine a light for those walking through a darkness they are too afraid to face alone. Sagittarius is the only fire sign guided by knowledge and faith. You don't just live by intuition, you live by meaning. You don't just want to exist, you want to understand why you exist. You don't just love, you want your soul to touch another soul. Your path has always been wide, but you've never chosen the easy path. You always choose the path with light, even when that light was just a tiny spark inside your chest. People look at you and say you're strong. They say you're brave. They say you always know what's right. But they don't know the countless nights you held yourself together. They don't know the days your heart wanted to collapse yet you kept walking. They don't know how many times you lit the way for others while your own heart was dimming. They don't know how many times you were the anchor for someone when you didn't even know where to anchor yourself. But God saw it all. There is a truth very few people understand. Sagittarius is not tested because they are weak. You are tested because you are the keeper of the torch. You are the one God places in the lives of others to help them step out of their own maze. You are the one who carries answers for souls who have lost hope. You are the one whose presence makes the room feel lighter, whose voice makes the future feel clearer, whose energy makes life feel brighter. But for you to do that, you first had to learn how to stand in places where others would have given up. You had to learn how to walk through darkness without anyone holding your hand. You had to learn how to light yourself before you could ever light the way for someone else. That is why your path has been difficult. That is why some people could not stay in your life. That is why you feel lonely even though you love deeper than most. But that loneliness, was never punishment, it was preparation. Have you ever noticed that you can see things others cannot see? Not with your eyes, but with your soul. Your intuition is powerful. Not the kind that predicts who's calling, but the kind that tells you what is right for you, what isn't meant for you, and what waits behind a door you haven't opened yet. You have a philosophical mind, not in a textbook way, but in a deep, soulful way. You think about life, meaning, existence, and the hidden reasons behind everything. And on those long nights when someone actually sits still and listens to you, they realize something. Your wisdom feels ancient, as if your soul lived hundreds of years before you were born into this body. You have foresight, something many people don't. You sense your path before you have a map. You see who you're becoming long before the world sees it. And the most beautiful part? Your presence heals. No advice needed, no words required. Just by being there, the atmosphere changes. People feel lighter, safer, calmer, as if their soul finally knows it doesn't have to fight the darkness alone anymore. This isn't something you learned. It's something you were given. A blessing, a gift, a mission. Do you know why Sagittarius always rises after they fall? Not because you don't feel pain, but because you know you were given a responsibility not everyone can carry. Some people live their whole lives holding a small candle, but you carry a blazing flame, one that lights your path and the paths of those who walk behind you. But that flame didn't appear out of nowhere. It was created from the moments your heart was burned to ashes and came back to life. It was created from the tears you shed that turned into inner light. It was created from every trial you survived. Some lessons you learned by rising, some you learned by falling. But the greatest lessons were always about your own heart. You are a fire sign, but your soul doesn't burn to destroy it, burns to guide. People look at your life and think you're lucky. They see your strength. They see your freedom. They see your glow. They don't know you shine only because you once burned in pain. But instead of letting pain consume you, you turned it into light. You turned heartbreak into wisdom. You turned loneliness into maturity. You turned loss into compassion. This is your nature. You don't run away from pain. You turn back and heal it. You don't hate life. You try to understand it. You don't lose faith. You place your faith in something more worthy. And that is why the world needs you. The world needs souls like you, souls who are not just seekers of light, but sources of light. The truth is, those who are given much are those who can carry much. The universe never places a lesson on you that is beyond your soul's capacity. Everything you went through, even the moments that left you shattered, were proof that you belong to a higher realm of souls. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will walk with you. Not everyone can withstand the heat of the fire you carry. And that's okay. The mission of the torchbearer is not to be understood by all, but to continue shining for the few who need it most. And now, with blessings approaching, with doors opening, with Jupiter calling your name, you're being reminded of something important. You are not just entering a season of receiving. You are stepping into a season of fulfilling your mission at a higher level. Your light is about to reach farther. Your strength is becoming more stable. Your intuition is deepening. Your heart is becoming whole again. This is not a beginning. This is an upgrade. You are not starting your path. You are returning to the path your soul wrote long ago. And before we step into the next part, the part about the destiny door God is opening for you, I want to ask you one small question. A question powerful enough to call your soul forward. What do you feel your soul mission truly is? Don't answer yet. Let your heart move first. Let the question open memories your soul has been keeping quiet. Because the next part is where you'll understand what you were born to become. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. My dear Sagittarius, it's time you understand something most people never will. There are doors in your life that are not decided by human beings, not by their words, their rejection, their absence, or their opinions. There are doors that only God Himself can open, and when He opens them, no one can close them, no matter how hard they try. You may think you're late, that you missed your chance, that hope has thinned out, but with God, timing is never late. He doesn't choose the moment when you're strongest or smartest. He chooses the moment your heart becomes mature enough to receive the blessing He prepared long ago. You may not see it clearly, but you can feel it. Something around you is shifting. The air feels lighter. Your heart feels calmer. Old pain doesn't suffocate you anymore. That is the sacred door beginning to open. God doesn't open the door while you're still holding on to things that don't belong to you. He opens it when you've released them, when you've stood back up, when you've learned the lesson your heart needed. And now, you are standing in front of a door no one can lock, no matter how hard they try. Have you noticed? Your intuition has been getting stronger each day. As if your soul is speaking a language that suddenly feels clearer. As if a quiet voice inside you has begun pointing the way even when your mind can't understand it. Your intuition isn't rising by accident. It is the first sign that a divine blessing is coming. And then you begin seeing repeating numbers. 111. The moment you think of something important. 333. When you feel exhausted. 777. When your heart suddenly feels lighter. These numbers are the whispers of the universe. You're going in the right direction. You are not alone. The door is already opening. Sometimes, someone you thought was gone reappears in your life. That is never a coincidence. Sometimes God sends them back not to recreate the old story, but to heal the pieces of memory that still weigh on your heart. Sometimes He sends someone new to remind you that you deserve more than what you once settled for. And sometimes rare, but real. He brings back the person who once belonged to your soul. But this time, both of you return wiser, softer, and aligned with divine timing. You might also receive unexpected financial news, a deposit, an opportunity, a gift, or simply a sudden feeling that things are finally about to get better. That is the financial gate opening in a way no one could predict. But perhaps the strongest sign of all is the peace with no explanation. Nothing special happened. No one said anything comforting. Your life doesn't look that different on the outside, and yet your heart feels strangely lighter, softer, more settled. This peace isn't random. It arrives when your soul is approaching a blessing so big, only peace has the capacity to hold it. In the spiritual traditions of America, there is a sacred belief. Forgiveness is the key that opens the door to miracles. Not because others deserve forgiveness, but because your heart deserves peace. Sagittarius has a wide heart, wide enough that you carry the pain of others inside yourself, wide enough that you hold on, afraid they will have no one if you let go, wide enough that you forget you also need relief. But forgiveness is not about forgetting someone. Forgiveness is about returning to yourself. Forgiveness is the first step of blessing. Forgiveness is heaven's quiet message. My child, you are ready for a new chapter. And compassion is the strength of the strong. Not everyone has the courage to look at an old wound without choosing revenge. Not everyone can face their own pain without feeding hatred. But you are different. You choose compassion even when your heart is torn. You choose kindness even when no one was kind to you. This is why you are being lifted. This is why blessings are finding their way to you. And faith, the very thing you've kept inside you, even when life shook you, is the bridge that carried you through every shadow. Not the light outside, not the promises of people, but the flame within you. A small flame, but one that never went out. And because of that flame, you've reached this moment, the moment when the sacred door finally begins to open. Sagittarius love, if you feel this message touching you, just one gentle action is enough to let the universe know you are ready. Hit the like button as a quiet confirmation. Share this video as a way of sending light to someone else, not for the algorithm, but because light always travels from one heart to another. And if you feel this energy moving through you, just whisper, I am ready to step through the door God is opening for me. Sagittarius, if you've stayed with me until now, it means your soul is already sending a signal. You are ready for the new chapter of your life. You did not come here by accident. You are not hearing these words by coincidence. Your soul has been guided to this moment to hear a truth you've waited for years. Asterisk, asterisk. It is time for you to rise, not because you are strong enough, but because God has lifted you. Asterisk, asterisk. You have already been strong long enough. You have already stood up in the dark by yourself, wiped your own tears, held your own heart through nights no one knew about. You have fought battles your soul never told anyone about. And so God says, enough now. Enough of the loneliness. Enough of the betrayal. Enough of choices made when you had no strength left. Enough of the sacrifices you never once spoke out loud. He does not want you to struggle anymore. He does not want you to fight alone. He does not want you to believe you are unworthy of something beautiful. Everything you lost is on its way back to you, but in a form that is brighter, clearer, and more divine. He will never return to you what broke you. He will only return what is aligned with your soul, what matches your heart, what you should have had all along. What shattered, He restores. What was taken, He replaces with something better. What dream you thought had died, He breathes life into it again. You are never late. You are simply right on time for a plan far greater than you imagined. And let me say this clearly. You are not stepping into this new chapter alone. You walk into it with the escort of angels, the light of Jupiter, the protection of God, and the heart that has just been healed. But this is only the beginning. What you are about to step into is bigger than everything you've heard today. The universe is preparing you for a 7-day window, the most significant 7 days Sagittarius has had in months. Not ordinary days, but 7 days of breakthroughs, turning points, answers, destined signs, unexpected encounters, clear messages from your intuition, and the sacred doorway you've waited for finally glowing. In the next video, I will reveal the specific signs that show you're stepping into these 7 destined days. Signs that will make you say, "This is the moment the universe pushes me into my new chapter." Prepare yourself. Be ready. You will not want to miss a single moment of those 7 days. They will unlock your entire life. And before we end today, I want you to do something small but powerful enough to shift your whole energy. Place your hand over your heart and whisper, "I am ready to step into the destiny God prepared for me." You are not saying it for interaction. You are saying it for your soul, for the universe to recognize your readiness, for blessings to find you without resistance. If this message touched you, leave that affirmation in the comments. Not for me, not for the video, but for the universe to witness your declaration. I'll see you in the next video, where I'll show you the signs that your 7 days of destiny are approaching. Trust the journey, trust the light, and above all, trust that God has never forgotten you and He is opening the doors no one can close.